Welcome everybody again to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Again, your host, Sal Salvador, Mr. Boxing Guru. Thank you guys for taking the time to listen. Again, just another podcast to help you go through the next couple of days. Of course, like we all know, we're all grounded. Not only boxing personalities, media, but boxers are not fighting right now. So it's kind of odd. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we're like, you know what? When we first started hearing about this coronavirus thing or whatnot, the first thing that popped into my head, oh shit, I hope it doesn't affect boxing. Not I hope it doesn't affect me. Not I hope my family doesn't get any disease. First thing I thought about was I hope this does not affect boxing. And of course it did. First fight, again, not in a million years would I think it was going to happen. But, of course we got everything started canceling. These little club shows started canceling. And then here in the West Coast, then shit started closing down. And again, the only thing we could think about is, oh shit, so what's going to happen to Canelo versus Sanders? What else is going to happen? And it's just fucking odd, to be honest with you. So today on a Saturday night, because kind of recording this on a Saturday night after a couple of beers like everybody else, so, there's nothing else to do but drink and clean. Drink, clean, and eat, I think. And, of course, your occasional Netflix binge. And, of course, if you're a boxing fan, you're stuck on YouTube watching all these random fights that you were so quickly to forget because, again, I think we've been very, very spoiled the last maybe year and a half with boxings on just being readily available from our phones, all these pay-per-views that have been going on, whether you want to watch or not. I mean, they're available to you to hear, to see, to view. But again, I'm going back in boxing, and just kind of got me thinking, like, how the fuck did everybody get into boxing? Because boxing is so weird, especially now because social media. Again, one, it's very weird, but at the same time, you're able to find a lot of like-minded people, a lot of great people that honestly I would have never ever thought of not only sharing conversation, a DM, whatever you want to call it. Like I do now. I mean, even friends that I've met that, I could really consider them friends or mentors. It all happened because of social media, but it kind of got me thinking, like, how or why did I get into or like boxing? And I think like any other fan, it starts somewhere. It starts. Of course it revolves around the TV, but there's something else in there, especially as a Mexican American, or American Mexican. I mean, whatever you want to call it. But for example, for me, it started when I started watching boxing was because of. I mean, I was a kid. I don't even think I was 10 years old. It was always because of a Chavez fight, The one that really pops to mind, and I don't know why, and I don't know how I remember this, because I'm almost 40 years old. This Chavez versus Taylor. And that's how I remember becoming a boxing fan, because there was a lot of people screaming. I remember it was the room was, and again, I'm first generation Mexican American, I guess you could say. My dad was an immigrant. But I remember going to my uncle's house, I believe it was Boyle Heights, and we're watching the fight, and yeah, the fight is great, but it seemed like everybody was down. The great Mexican Chavez, was just, the fight just wasn't going his way. And all of a sudden, and I remember the last round, and everybody starts going like crazy because Chavez finally stopped this guy, but they were happy, they were content, but it was just I remember people being uncomfortable and people arguing. Oh no, el negrito this, el negrito that, and yeah, I was so happy about it. But again, back then we didn't have the internet, so it's not like I go back and watch stuff. Um, then I remember I used to watch a lot of, after the fights, we used to run home, and I used to always wait till the very last minute when they actually finally talked about sports, and they talked about the controversial win of Chavez over Taylor, how Taylor was beating Chavez, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about, man? Chavez is invincible. My dad said nobody could beat Chavez. My dad said, my dad said Chavez could beat Tyson. It was just this hero that Chavez was in the community, and 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 regardless of what he did, whether it was right or wrong, the people supported the man. But that's how I remember. That's what I remember, at least when it came to being a boxing fan. Um, and I remember part of the reason why I liked it, because of course I'm a fat boy, so if there was a Chavez fight, that means there was a carne asada involved. That means there was a big gathering of food involved. That means that it brought the family together. The family wouldn't talk for days or years. There was always somebody fighting with somebody, but at the end of the day, there was boxing going on. Chavez va a pelear. Chavez viene va a pelear el fin de semana. Chavez is fighting this weekend. Everybody get together, even if it's on a 13-inch TV. Let's get together and watch the fight. And that's what we did. We watched boxing, and I think that's what eventually made me into a boxing fan. Again, I was only 9 years old, maybe when I first started kind of getting into it, because 9, 10, and then, like I said, I would try to read as many newspaper clippings as I possibly could, uh, watching the news and catching that 2-minute piece that they would do one on Univision, and then switch it up and hear the American side of the story and change it to Fox, and try to find whatever, like I said, newspaper clipping that I could find, and just watch it and keep it hiding under my not my bed, because I remember I didn't have a bed when I was a kid. I used to have to sleep in the living room, but under the couch, and just stuff that I would read and just watch. But again, it all started with a legend. It started with having Chavez um, embedded into my head, because that's who all my family ever talked about. And of course, as you're growing up, you start to have your own opinions, and things change. You start questioning things, sort of like when you first started, for the Catholic, you first started questioning God or whatever it may be. Why do you have to go to church? So why do we have to root for Chavez? At that point now, Chavez was starting to fight tougher fights, so shit started getting tougher, and then he got decisions that necessarily weren't supposed to go for him, but he got, and I started questioning that, and then that's how I started, being a bit more, I guess, involved, questioning shit. Why isn't shit right, or why is Chavez winning? And then this kid, after that, I mean, as Chavez started fighting the toughest fights of his life, then there came this kid from East LA, which I think he's really the guy that made me into the fan I am now. And of course, Oscar de la Hoya. Because of Oscar, I became a fan, because here comes, yes, Chavez was this rugged Mexican guy that, was very rude, very mamon, I guess you could be. Yes, people idolize him, but it just didn't click with me. I watched him because it meant family, but I didn't idolize the guy. I didn't identify with my dad, but he wasn't another, he didn't, I didn't really identify with Chavez. But like I said, then came, you know, guys like, Vargas, and of course, like I said, Oscar de la Hoya, which I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan when he came out, and he came out of the Olympic. Yeah, I was interested, I was intrigued, but we didn't get a lot of the TV time to see him or whatnot. Of course, he fought, came out of the Olympics. Of course, that kind of kind of perk up your eyebrow. You start looking and whatnot. then he starts winning fights, and then you start saying, "Huh, this kid's he's kind of cool." And then I remember finally, I think he was 21, and we're talking about championship fights. I believe he was like in his 11th fight or going into his 12th fight, where he finally gets a crack at a belt, and I'm like, "Oh shit! I mean, you meaning a belt? You mean he's 21 and he's gonna get one of those shiny things that Chavez always, brags about?" So I started questioning it. I told my dad, well, okay, so De La Hoya is just like Chavez, right? Because he has a belt. No, conmigo se la chingada va a ser, like Chavez. There's no way, Chavez is a man, and Oscar no, and again you got the backlash from the tios. I'm like, no, but this is the guy that again is brown like me, but speaks perfect English. So he's an American like me. So I like this kid, good looking kid, is a stud. I like De La Hoya, fast. Didn't get punched a lot again at that point. And I would tell my dad, oh, this guy, he's chingón, apa. Va a ser chingón. And of course, my dad, my tios, nobody believed it. Everybody questioned something. That's why I feel like when I question Ryan Garcia and all these young fighters, that's how I would get questioned. Like, no, this guy's gonna be legit. Of course, Oscar, like I said, got his first belt. I think he even went even lower. I think he went to 130. I think Oscar used to campaign at 135. He actually made 130 to go. Try to get a strap at 130. So that was impressive. And then, of course, continued, got a strap at 135. Eventually went to 140 and whatnot. But then that's I think after he got his first belt, that's when I said, oh shit, I really like this kid. Of course, me being from, again, born and raised in Compton, or raised in Compton, not born in LA. Of course, you would hear about the Ruelas brothers, and when he finally fought Ruelas, which everybody thought was going to be the tough test because he's this tough guy, and Oscar ends up starching him in 2 rounds, I believe, I don't think 2 rounds, and then Chicanito, and so of course you guys know the story, so I don't need to dwell on it. So yeah, Oscar became that guy. He's the one guy that, like I said, I started as a boxing fan, and then I became a fan of a certain fighter, and then I had to become a intelligent, at least, fan to be able to argue against my own family, and of course arguing in Spanish for me being a little pocho, it wasn't always the easiest thing to do, especially when you're arguing against most of your family. I used to argue why Oscar was better than Chavez Senior, and eventually they fought, and of course we got all the excuse in the world that Chavez is an old man, and Chavez is this, Chavez is that. Of course, to a certain extent they were absolutely right. Chavez wasn't the best. It wasn't the best version of Chavez, even if Chavez was already only 34 or whatnot, 35, something like that. But they fought. Oscar beat him. He was bleeding. Then he beat him again, and it was even worse. So, but yeah, that's Oscar was a guy that made me believe in boxing, and at the same time made me enjoy it. Made me have to prepare myself to be a good boxing fan and have a counterattack when it came to argue with people why Oscar was just as good, or if not better than Chavez. And of course then finally got his big fight with Vargas, and that solidified it, because now I could argue against my cholo friends that love Vargas and his stupid little bangs he had and whatnot. So that's that. I think that's, again, I'm sorry I kind of got lost in the whole thing, but main thing I was saying, I was going through boxing fights, and it just makes you think, well, how or why do you become a boxing fan? So I'm curious to know everybody's story and how they become a boxing fan, why they become a boxing fan, who introduced them to boxing, and whatnot. Now, of course, being married for 10 plus years. Shit, I'm gonna get killed because I didn't say the exact date, but for 10 plus years, I got my wife into it. She tries to watch it as much as she can, and she's there for it. So, but yeah, that is that. What else? What else? What else we got? Yeah, and that's pretty much it. One thing I did want to talk to you guys is I know it. I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of folks that are not working, and they have time to watch fights. So I did want to make a quick list of fights to watch, fights that you can see, fights that make you question what the fuck is going on with boxing, and kind of went through a quick list of fights that at least I remember, and that's why I guess I started going off on this because I started watching these fights that weren't necessarily favorable over certain fighters, but they're good to bring up because I think they're a big part of a sport. I think sometimes because we have bad decisions, sometimes bad decisions could help propel a career, and sometimes completely destroy it. Like for example, the fight I started talking to you guys in the very beginning, which was Chavez versus Taylor. Again, that's the fight that made me, I think, spark up that interest in boxing. And Chavez was getting his ass beaten at the end. I think it was 4, 5, 6 seconds left, and they stopped the fight and gave it to Chavez. That's one of the fights where like, fuck, why as a Mexican you're like, oh fuck yeah, he was getting his ass beat, so why not? But again, take the paisa hat off and take the sombrero off, and you're like, fuck, this was the fight. This was a career defining fight / win for Taylor, and they took it away from him. Of course, after they fought again, and of course Taylor was a shell of himself. He left everything he had in that day versus Chavez in the ring, and it's fucked up, to this day, I think it's really fucked up for Taylor. That would have been, he fought the fight of his life that day versus Chavez, and I just want you guys to I think that's good homework. Watch that fight. De La Hoya versus Trinidad. Again, another fight that I think, again, you could argue both sides. I, of course, think, De La Hoya won at least 7 rounds. When there's a fight that's 7 to 5, De La Hoya, again, that's how I had it. It's easy to scream robbery, but again, that's the way I had it. Was I mad? Absolutely not. I thought Oscar won, but I know Oscar moved a lot the last couple of rounds. But again, personally, I had De La Hoya winning. I would love to hear from you guys and see what did you guys think. Of course, the other one that comes to mind is the Pacquiao Marquez one. Of course, Pacquiao Marquez won, I believe. Pacquiao was knocked out Marquez 3-4 times in the first round. After that, Marquez, in my opinion, took over, kind of boxed Pacquiao's head off. He was able to adjust, and just like classic Marquez, just the classic beautiful counterpuncher that he is, he was able to do so well. And it's funny because some of these that I'm mentioning, it's almost like karma. Karma came back and fixed things. Fight after that, after Pacquiao Marquez one that I'm mentioning now, it's Pacquiao versus Bradley. I think a fight that most people saw Pacquiao winning. I personally didn't. I had it by 1 point for Bradley or a draw Bradley. I'm not really sure, but I know it was very close. I remember when the fight was we're ready to hear the decision. I was like, oh shit, don't be surprised if Bradley takes her, and don't be surprised if you see a draw, and boom, Bradley won the fucking fight. And again, karma. Oscar De La Hoya versus Felix Sturm. Again, another fight where, again, and all these fights are legitimately fun. They're really fun to watch. It's not just waiting for the ending to score it. I would love for people to sit back and actually enjoy these fights. These are really, really good fights. And again, that's Pacquiao versus Bradley. I'm sorry, Oscar De La Hoya versus Sturm. A fight that I think it was Oscar's first time campaigning as a middleweight. Of course, a weight class that he was he was completely not built for. there's no speed, there's not a lot of movement. I think Oscar just pretty much showed up to that fight. I think it was a fight that, again, yes, you could give it to either guy. I believe, as a matter of fact, I just said and scored. I believe I had it. For Stern by 1 round. So again, these are all fights that are very, very close, except of course Chavez Taylor that ended up with a stoppage. But they could have gone to either guy. Felix Sturm, again, very solid fighter. I don't believe he ever fought outside of Germany after that. It almost felt like he had a bitter taste in his mouth after that. But can you blame him? Of course not. He lost. And it's not like you're losing to a champion. You're taking the belt from a champion. That's what happened to him. The other fight that in my opinion, was a bit weird. It is the weirdest of the bunch. Because there's good fights and there's weird fucking fight. And that's for Sergio Martinez versus Kermit Cintron. It was just, he knocked down, I remember Martinez knocking down a Kermit Cintron and pretty much him being out from a straight punch, and all of a sudden they said it was a headbutt. Then he gets up. Then Martinez gets penalized. It was just weird. It was just one of those fights you have to watch, and I know most of you guys have watched it, but just go back and watch this type of fights because they're really going to piss you off. You're going to laugh. You're going to be like, what the fuck just happened? And, of course, we can't forget, you can't have a list without a Mayweather fight. And, of course, that's Floyd Mayweather versus Jose Luis Castillo. Then one fight that we could argue about Floyd's fights. Only one fights that were very close, like Ian Maidana and Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd. But one fight that we all thought that Floyd lost was that first fight versus Jose Luis Castillo. So make sure you guys watch that. Come back at me. Tell me, DM me, send me a message. Tell me what you guys thought. I would share it again in another podcast. I will try to do as many podcasts as I can. If I have to do one a day, 2 or whatnot, or 1 every 2 days, I'll do it. Let me know, and I'll do them. For now, that's it, guys. I just wanted to check in with you guys. I'm going to keep this nice, short, and sweet. Wanted to check in with you guys, make sure that you guys are good. Hope you guys are good. Hope you guys' family is good. Hope you guys got enough to eat. If not, we'll figure something out. We got you guys. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Mr. Boxing Guru podcast. Hope I didn't take too much of your time. And thank you guys so much. And have a good one. Bye.